Welcome back to another episode of Roblox UI library scripting tutorials. In this episode, we're gonna be starting the scripting process and getting this whole thing ready. We're gonna mainly just script the UI without the controls, maybe the navigation. We'll see how far we get. And I also got a new microphone. I'm not sure if it sounds any better, but if it does, let me know. Also, editor. I was playing around with it a lot, but I still don't know. And yeah, so we're gonna start by adding a local script in the starter pack. And yes, I will be working with Roblox Studio simply because their IDE is very good for their own platform, obviously, their own engine. If you want to know what font I'm using, this is JetBrains motto, best font in the world. And some random theme I found. I think it's something with GitHub. Something with GitHub theme. I don't. Right here, GitHub color themes. I'll link it in the description, maybe. Yeah. So we're gonna get started by. Actually, let me see if I can dock this. I can't. Okay. We're gonna get started by creating a library table, just like that, and we're not gonna be returning it because we're testing right now, okay? So the next step is to convert this UI, so you should have this plugin now. If you don't, make sure to get it, link in the description. So just press that, there we go. And we're just gonna leave this here. We're not gonna copy everything. So we're gonna press Ctrl F and expand this, and we're gonna type in G2L. We're gonna replace everything with tree, just like this. Now you don't have to do this. I like to do it because it makes more sense. Just having everything in your tree, right? So yeah, we're gonna start off by obviously getting this tree table right there, and I'm actually gonna make it library.tree. So now we see all the stuff that gets created for the main frame, which is these. And I'm trying to find the drop shadow right here. So we have the drop shadow. We're just gonna copy that, and then we're gonna do function library new. Okay? And we're gonna paste that in here. Now you see all of this is getting red. So instead of pasting this, I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna type tree, and I'm gonna replace it with library.tree. There we go. So it might error, so we're just gonna do this just so we don't get those errors. There we go. So we're gonna copy the screen GUI and the main and the UI corner, just everything that belongs to it. Paste it, and now we can start changing stuff. So before I continue, I'm gonna add a few services like players and tween service, run service. We're just going to be needing these later on for our animations, for our loops and whatnot. So right here I see that a screen GUI is created and it's parented to the player GUI. We want core GUI, so we're going to get this service as well. Now remember that we're still in Studio and we won't be able to parent it to core GUI. So what we're going to do is put a check here, and since we have run service, there's this thing called is studio, and it lets you see whether the game is in studio or not, and this is very useful. We can do run service is studio, and if it is, the parent is going to be the local players player GUI or the core GUI. Like that. Now I don't know why this isn't getting recognized, but that doesn't matter for now. Then we have the name. You can just leave this, and now this is where stuff gets interesting. As you can see, we have a tree thing in our library. That means we can access everything from anywhere. Now, something that I don't like about this plugin is that the stuff is getting named by numbers instead of the actual name. Would have been cool to see it get named with the actual name. If someone wants to, you can go under GitHub and edit the source. I don't want to do that because I'm stupid. But yeah, so we can just continue here. We have the main frame. Everything is looking nice. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the anchor point of our main frame to 0, simply because it could cause problems if we want the frame to be movable. And now it won't be in the center of the screen, but we can simply fix that with some math, and it's udim2 from offset, so just working with pixels, and it's the library.tree 2.size plus sorry, not size, the library.tree 2, so the main frame that we're creating right here, .size.x, sorry, dude, I'm being retarded, .position.x .offset plus the size.x.offset divided by 2. What is this going to do? It is going to center the frame in the middle of the screen. Just copy this, change it to Y, and yeah, I'm gonna test this right away, so it should be fine. So now what you want to do is disable this before you play, otherwise you won't be able to see it. And now I just noticed I didn't call the new function, so make sure you call that. Yeah. And as you can see, it's been created, but it's not in the center. And I'm just gonna look at the output. Nothing wrong in the output, so it's something wrong with my math, and I just realized that this doesn't make sense because we're trying to set the position. So I'm gonna check my notes real quick, and I'm gonna be back with the math equation. Okay, I'm back, and I just thought for a little and I figured it out. We're also going to need the workspace viewport. This is the screen, so it's actually the viewport.x minus the size divided by 2, and same for this viewport.y minus the size divided by 2. Now to visualize this, I'm gonna open Paint and imagine this is your screen, and now we want the frame to be in the center. So obviously we're gonna be working with the center point of the screen, which is the viewport's x axis, which is this, divided by 2. So that's going to be this point, And now, since the center of this is going to be like something like this, we need this point over here, and that's just subtracting the size of this, also divided by 2, which is going to get us to this point. And also I just realized I have to divide this by 2 as well, and then wrap it in braces or brackets or whatever. And same thing here. I hope you understand that these videos aren't planned or scripted, which is why I'll be running into a lot of bugs and a lot of errors, which is completely normal. It's a process that you just can't ignore. Yeah, so let's try again, and this time it should work. There we go. So as you can see, it's completely center screen. Now it looks a little off on the Y because of the top bar. We could easily fix that simply by making this UI thing ignore the GUI inset. So right here, we're gonna add another property, and we're gonna do library.tree1 ignore GUI inset is equal to true. There you go. Now, maybe you'll find it weird that we're working with these brackets. You could just do this, but I'm just keeping to the plugin so it looks clean. So now that that's done, I'm gonna find the shadow frame and stuff, which is right here. So what's cool is we can just copy this, paste it in, and just leave it. Of course, you're gonna be adjusting some things with the properties and variables, but right now we don't need anything. We don't need to adjust anything. Everything looks fine. Yeah, so let's just test it out. And there you go, there's our shadow. So very easy, very quick. Now we can already continue. Yeah, so we're gonna delete this because we have it now, just like that. And the next part is the top bar that we're gonna be doing. So we're just gonna search top bar and just take everything that has to do with the top bar, which are these, I believe. So if I just cut these out, there's no more top bar in here. So I'm just gonna continue, paste it in. Now the problem with working with these GUI to Lua scripts, they can get really big and kind of hard to see. Make sure I'm zoomed in enough so you can actually read it. But you could fix this by using do blocks like this, do end, and then you pack everything in like this. So let's say I just take this, boom, boom, and then I could add a comment here like main. I'm actually going to be doing this for the sake of this tutorial. So yeah, this is just a cool practice that you can do if you want to keep your code clean and organized and easy to navigate around. So in the top bar, we're getting to our first variable that we're going to be using, and it's going to be the title. We want the title to be changeable, so we're gonna go to the top bar title right here, perfect, and we're gonna change the name to options name. Now you realize we haven't made anything that's called options. Don't worry, we're about to. So the normal way of passing parameters would be like this, right? You would just pass them as normal parameters, nothing special. But we are going to be using named arguments or parameters. What are these? Well, imagine you're doing this and then you add a table and you do like name is equal to this, etc. This is much more readable, also what Mercury uses. And also what's cool, you can just remove the brackets, whatever they're called, parentheses, I don't know, dude, and add curly brackets, and same thing. So this can look very neat in my opinion if you add like a space and just like, you know, just like that. Now also what is cool, the order doesn't matter, so you can just put it in a random order, it won't matter. So I'm actually going to do library new, and I'm going to call it subscribe because I need it. Okay, make sure to capitalize this I, we don't want to be a retard. Okay, now we have to make this functionality. Now you could just leave it like this, but say someone doesn't have this name parameter, you want to have like defaults. So we're actually going to create a function called library validate, or you can name it something else, but I'm going to call it validate. And it's going to take two parameters, the defaults and the options, and we're going to call it right here validate, and then a table and options. Now what's cool about this, for every element you'll be able to define defaults like this, and if the name isn't given, the name will automatically be this, which is very cool. Now here, I don't know this by heart, but I'm just gonna do this. So we're doing this to check whether options is given, and actually we're gonna do this over here. Okay, so we're checking if options was given, and if it was, we're gonna just leave it as options. If it wasn't, we're gonna make it an empty table. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. If you hear any background noise, it's just my family being loud. Anyway, let's continue. So yeah, we're gonna be checking if the table is existent. If not, we're just gonna create it ourselves, and then we're gonna pass it to the validate function. Inside the validate function, we're gonna do following. We're gonna loop through the defaults table, and we're gonna check if the options table has something. We're gonna check if the options table has this inside of it as well from the defaults. Basically, we're gonna go through defaults, which has name in it, and if the options table, which is what the user is giving, doesn't have name in it, then it's going to be set to that name. Yeah, very simple and easy. Now we're gonna test if this works right away, so we're gonna remove this for now. That means we're not passing anything, and also disable this thing so we don't see it. And something obviously went wrong. Let's see, unable to assign property name, string expected got nil. Huh, okay. So obviously name doesn't exist inside of options. So we're gonna do options is equal to library validate, and then we're gonna return options right here. Let's see if that changes anything, and also set this to the table. Okay, hasn't worked again. Options is nil again. Again, it's completely normal to run into errors like this. So You need to have a lot of patience for stuff like this. Primarily why I don't really make UI libraries anymore. So that is that, and we're passing. So I'm actually gonna do this. And then we don't need this. Okay, this is actually wrong. So I was checking if it doesn't exist. But yeah, that is right. What the frick? If it doesn't exist, sorry, if it doesn't exist, if it's nil, then add it. I was checking if it exists. I'm sorry. Yeah, really stupid, dumb mistakes. I hope it works now. And it works. So it's taken the default, which is UI library. Wait. Huh. Is the test? This is a... Huh. Hold on, guys. Some funky stuff going on here. Oh, my bad. I changed the name instead of the text. Okay. So let's check again. It's a very painful process. And this time we can't see it because I forgot to turn this off. Crack some bones. And UI library test. So that is working perfectly fine because this is actually our default name. So if you're wondering what this is, it's a shorthand for checking if options exist, it's options, or it's an empty table. It's basically the same as doing if options is equal to nil. So if it's nothing, then give table, otherwise give options. Okay, so yeah, very good shorthand. We're going to be using this a lot. We also use it here. This is basically if this is true, it's going to be the player UI, and if it's false, it's going to be the core UI. It's a very useful shorthand. Make sure you remember this and use it. Yeah, so a last task before we move on is gonna be adding our custom name, just to make sure this thing works as intended. Sorry. And there we go. It works perfectly fine. Looking clean. Yeah. So we are 23 minutes in. I don't want to go any further than this. I'm gonna record another video maybe after this. But yeah, we've done some basic stuff. We've created the UI, like the main thing. Now what I do before I continue, I'm gonna take all of this, and as I said before, I'm gonna pack it in a do block like this, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna hide it. I'm gonna call it I don't know, main frame, and then the next one is gonna be navigation, which is actually going to be a table. Yeah, so that's this episode. I hope you were able to follow along. Make sure you do. Your library doesn't have to look perfect. It's completely fine. Just remember the concepts that I try to teach you. And yeah, subscribe, join the Discord, go outside for a little, do whatever you want. Goodbye.